To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Before I get started on today's video, I wanted to show you some of Carolyn's garden items growing just incredibly fast. It's like the chickens, they just keep growing. So these are the tomatoes. They've been sitting in this window, and of course you see all the sunlight. So we get a good amount of morning sunlight. They've just been growing great. Gonna have a great garden this year, it looks like. She's really got a lot of plants. I'm surprised. Last year we got a late start. We got here in February, had to get everything cleaned up, and I think by late March we started planting our seeds. Well, this year we're doing much better. I got some chores I need to do today, but I wanted to talk to you again about the well. As you know, my next big project is fixing the well. I've said it in several videos now. I've ordered all the components that I need, except for the PVC pipe. I don't need to order that. I'm gonna go to the hardware store and just buy, I think 7 pieces. I'll know more once I get the well pump out of the well. But I will tell you, I have been terrified about doing this. And one commenter suggested that I actually hire a well company to come out and do it, but they would charge $2,000 to $3,000 for it. If I mess it up, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to use the well. Well, then I got past that stage. If I mess it up, it just means I got the boot stuck down in, or the well packer stuck down in there, and it didn't go down as far as I wanted it to go. I could still use the well. It's not like it was going to be inoperable. It would just still have its problem, which is groundwater getting into the well water. So it was just something I would have to have lived with until I figure out how to fix it. I'm not going to hire someone to do it. $2,000 to drive a pipe down into the hole just doesn't seem worth it to me. I've been really trying to research this. The problem is there's like 3 videos on how to do this on YouTube. And I've tried every type of search criteria I can come up with. It's just not a lot of people actually have to do this. Well, one of the videos is just a guy sitting in his basement showing you how to do it with the piece. You know, I mean, he's not actually doing it. He's just got a piece of a well casing and the well packer, and he's explaining it, which gave a lot of good information. But the one thing he said is you're going to need equipment to push the packer down. And then there was a guy who did it by himself, just like me. And he had a skid steer, and he was using the forks to push it down. And I thought, man, I'm going to have to rent a piece of equipment, or I'm going to have to hire a farmer that's got a bucket and I can push it down. But I'm going to try a hammer and a block, and I'm just going to see if I can drive it down. And then I thought, well, if I do it like he did it and I attach a board to the pipe, I can jump on it, maybe that'll slide it down. But he had 5 comments in his comment section, 5. And one of them said, how hard is it to push it down? And he said, sometimes pretty tough. It can get stuck. Other times it goes down right on its own. Of course, he used 2 well packers. He's got a 400-foot well, so he used 2. I only need to use 1. And he said, so 2 is much harder than 1. But then right at the end of the paragraph, he says, of course, you could use a come-along. And that's all he said. And I thought, how could you use a come-along on this? I don't even know how that's possible. But the more I got to thinking about it, if I take the come-along and I attach it to the pipe like he did, and I'll show you how I'm going to do this when I actually do it. And then I drill a hole into the well casing, because the well casing sticks out that much. I'll drill a hole, put a bolt in it on both sides. I'll hang a chain on the bolt. I can attach the come-along, and then I just come along that pipe right down. So the moral of this story is do your research, and keep doing your research until you have all your fears taken care of, because that builds confidence. I got the one thing that I really needed was someone to say, if you do it this way, it wouldn't be a problem. Okay, so I've told you that I got all this free wood from a guy who had a tree service come down and cut his firewood. I got it all split. I split it by hand. And the more I think about splitting firewood by hand, the more I like it. We could have a wood splitter, and I think eventually we will have to get one. You know, the older I get, you know, I get these guys, oh, I'm 68 years old and I live in the city and I can do more work than you. I doubt it. I mean, these were 2 truckloads of huge rounds right there. And I split it all in one day on a hillside in the rain. I'm not trying to exaggerate, but you got to get in shape. Like I said last year, I couldn't do this. I feel like I did a really good job. Quit your whining, just get to work. Well, I feel like I work plenty, and I think there's a lot of subscribers out there who agree I work quite a bit. But I tell you, firewood is the best exercise you can imagine. Even if you have a manual log splitter like Carolyn uses, and it's hydraulic, she pumps it up. I've showed that to you several times in videos. That's good exercise. But today, what I got to do is I want to clean this area up before the well components get here. So if I need to, I can back the truck up. Right now, all this wood's in the way. And I took a few loads down. I've been, getting the pile cleaned up here. But there's the well. And right here is the wood pile. And of course, the truck's right there. So I got to get this cleaned up. And now, like I've said several times, I'm going to end up putting a pole barn here. So I got some poles down there I need to get cut up and cleaned up. If there's time, I'm going to cut those cedar trees down over there. I know, don't cut the cedar trees, you're killing the environment. I've made videos about that. Those cedar trees are choking out everything around it, so I got to get them out of there. Now somebody asked, am I worried about someone coming and stealing the firewood, being so close to the road? But the thing is we're home most of the time. 90% of the time we're home. And when we do leave, it's only for a couple hours at a time. So anyway, I'm gonna get this chainsaw started up. I'm gonna cut a few logs up and just kind of get things cleaned up. One of the things you need to think about when you're running a chainsaw is kickback. And what happens with kickback is you're running the chainsaw and it comes back on you. What happens is your blade touches on something and it runs up, like the nose here, and it runs up and slams it up to your head. I watched a video one time and the guy was doing exactly what I'm getting ready to do, and he was just cutting up some branches, but he was doing it on the sidewalk. He was laying the board on the sidewalk and it hit the sidewalk and came up and it got him. I mean, it just cut him, fortunately. I don't know how bad. He ran off the camera. Two things I do to try to prevent this is I always use the smallest chainsaw possible. I have a 14-inch and an 18-inch. I always use the 14-inch because the blade does not extend out as far past the wood as the 18-inch. So it's less to have to watch for. The other thing I do is when I'm doing just limbs like this and they're all stacked around like this, I always put them on top of other wood because the chainsaw is more likely to cut into the wood than if I was doing it on a sidewalk like that guy was doing. It's not going to cut, it's just going to kick. Whereas I have a chance that if I hit another piece of wood, it'll just dig into the wood. For some reason, this log won't split with them all. I've tried. You can hear the sound is different. This is very solid. Whereas all the other ones, it's from the same tree, were kind of hollow when you hit it. I don't know, it's just a different sound. So I'm going to demonstrate how this just won't split, and then I'm going to show you something. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to give it a try, but let's start with trying to split it. Okay, and so when you split, you're always supposed to split on the side. You come across here and here, and what you're supposed to do is, this will cause a little bit of a crack, and then it comes over here and causes a little bit of a crack. Well, it's not cracking, it just bounces. But I got these axe heads that I found just laying on the property, and what you're supposed to do is just kind of hammer it in, and it's supposed to just pop these things right open. So I'm going to give it a try. I have no idea if it's going to work. Sorry, bit out of breath, but it did crack. That's amazing. So I'll keep working on it. Okay, so I got it, but the reason it was such a problem, I guess, is it's very knotty in the inside. Okay, so I got everything cut up and or split. So all I got to do now is just take it on down there. So I'll load my little wagon and I'll take it down, you know, wagon full of time. A viewer suggested that I showed the chickens at the end of the video. Maybe folks will watch longer. And I thought it was a really good idea, so I'm going to give it a try. Now I feed them a piece of bread every day, but they think that every time I sit down next to them that they're getting a piece of bread. And they'll beat themselves up over it. I mean, look at them. They just get so aggressive with each other. There's your chickens. I know a lot of people like to see the chickens, but the watch time surely does not represent that. So I'm going to try throwing in when I can. So I hope I can inspire you to get in shape when you live your dream. Thanks for watching.